Welcome back to What's Good Cape Cod, where we show you the Cape through the eyes of a couple of locals. I'm Sarah Lapsley Martin.
And I'm Katie Clancy. Each week we talk about a person, a place, and a thing that we think you should know about.
And this week we're so excited. We're on location on Hyannis Main Street at Bread and Roses.
Yes, we are. We cannot wait to show you what we got to show you. Stay tuned. We are so glad to be here.
I'm so excited to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me to your program.
Yes.
So we want to know all about you. So Sarah knows a little bit. I don't know much, and
Sure.
our audience might not know anything.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we give them a really
Okay.
good show today.
So I was born on a cloudy day. No, I grew up in Wayland, about a half hour west of Boston. And my career before starting this endeavor was actually almost exclusively in animal protection. A little unsurprisingly, coming into a vegan restaurant.
Yes.
But I worked for a variety of different organizations. I worked for IFA off of exit 7 here, or whatever the exit is now, for about 10 years. Starting off as an attorney down in the DC office, doing litigation and policy work. I drafted the first version of the Big Cat Protection Act that Carol Baskin
I was going to say.
now.
I was like, what?
NBD.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was me and my friend Paul, who lives in Duxbury, actually. So I did that for a few years, and then we moved over to management. And I spent the next chunk of my career traveling all over the world, helping to do strategic planning for all of our conservation projects that we were running, doing some of the operations and financial management of the organization, and eventually I left as the deputy vice president for international operations.
Okay, so all right, so you're like a huge deal in all this animal stuff, and then you're like, bing, like how did this dot connect to that?
Yeah, well, so it actually required a little bit more work even to get there. So that was part one, and part two, I got recruited to run a very old nonprofit. It was called the New England Anti-Vivisection Society for a long time. It was a 125-year-old group dedicated to ending animal experimentation. And so that's a complicated issue in general, and people are very torn about it, which is fine for me because I'm a good advocate for whatever I believe in. And then, but I did that for 5 years, and that was sort of like building something from scratch. Like IFA had been around forever. It's an $80 million a year organization. And then this was like a little baby organization, and I was able to start it and basically from scratch and grow it, building off of those 125 years of history, but really completely shifting it over. We rebranded. That organization is now called Rise for Animals, still based in Boston. And when I was there, I started another nonprofit organization called the Center for Contemporary Sciences, which is a nonprofit incubator accelerator focused on bringing new technologies, things like organs on a heart or on a chip types of technologies, so we can basically replace animal testing with more modern, more accurate technologies more quickly. And the reason that that's not happening right now is just because the whole financial system of government grants are designed towards giving money to animals. So that's what I did before here. So then I made a big leap, as you said. The big leap was a little bit of COVID and mental health deterioration, just as everybody else had over the last few years, and rethinking the type of work that I wanted to be doing with the rest of my life. I was in charge of impact evaluation for a time at IFA, and one of the things that I learned during that time is that given all the amazing, great work that we see around the world at the policy level, at the international level, and even at the national level or regionally, we're unable to show that a lot of the impact, the efforts that we're having in the world, the activities that we put into the world, are actually creating the change that we want them to. And what we did find through the evidence is that the places where we can see that happening is through holistic community development initiatives. In India, that would be something like providing fuel-efficient wood stoves, so they stop cutting down the habitat around their parks. Here, it's about addressing some of the challenges that we've had in this community. And so Bread and Roses and everything that it encompasses now is actually part one of a broader strategy that we have for a community development project.
Yes.
Yeah. So I can talk about that now if you'd like, or I'm happy to stop for questions.
Actually, so that's you. What an art.
Yeah.
This isn't this. So what you're telling us is this is not a finish line.
Correct.
This is actually a starting.
This is part one. This is part one of a bigger project. Yeah.
Hold your thought on
that.
Because we're going to get to that.
Great.
We got to who you are, which there's more to that story without a question.
Yes, of course.
But this place that we're in right now, so we want to, our audience who is coming here and is like, where is this place and what is happening here?
Yeah.
Tell us about this
space.
Place. Yeah, this space.
So this is the space that comes from my heart. This is this is the stuff that you find in this store is what really, I think, represents a lot of time and effort that I have spent trying to better understand myself, the things that I'm passionate about, the things that I love and that I want to surround myself with for the rest of my working career. And so the Themishmash is kind of all the stuff that I like to do. It has my books. It has a lot of stuff on learning, DIY type of works. It has a lot of leftist literature that we have as sort of front end stock, which is different than a lot of bookstores.
Sure.
We have a full roasting program that we're about to launch that you guys got to see right before we started. We have an amazing full service coffee program, a full bar, did breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then the bookstore component and the entertainment piece is something that I'm really excited about in the short term, because we're going to be able to start doing direct educational programs for kids in the short term. We're going to be able to do food services and food justice stuff in the shorter term, which is all really super exciting work. And then, as Cedric was saying, part of a bigger strategy that's linked to this.
And this space is beautiful.
Thank you.
When you first opened, it was just
Not
this room. And now you've expanded, which is amazing.
Correct. Yes. So that was a lot of work, and this has sort of been an iterative process from the very beginning, largely because I had no idea what I was doing.
It looks like you do.
It does, though, and that's the brilliant thing.
Right.
One of the things I want the takeaways to be is like you don't have to know all of it going forward.
You have to know almost nothing.
Yeah.
You just have to have enough time and energy to make mistakes.
And courage.
And courage. We had serious challenges over the first 6 months of this. We are close to becoming profitable now, and we have all of our systems in place now, so we're really, really well poised for the winter. But I mean, people who have been following us over this last few months will have seen us have rises in our quality and declines and tries of certain hours and then withdraws and that was, it's sort of the way that you build most projects, right? You just sort of have to figure it out the right way. And one of the things that we want to be for the community is an authentic voice, one that just sort of like...
I'm like losing my mind over here. Okay, not only do I love what you are doing, what you stand for, but the way you're sharing your process is so inspiring.
Thank you.
It is inspiring because we all have like this little tiny dream in my heart that I haven't really told anybody, and you're like, "We'll do it, do it,
that's
like
basically what
make
I
a mess, clean it up, start
nobody
again."
else is going to do this for me. So I took the leap, and I'm fully out of the stock market, thank God, this week.
Oh my God!
I'm very deep in building.
Yes.
And business. So it's been a really interesting ride, and it's been a lot of work, but now I'm so confident in the team that we have and the programming that we're going to be offering in the short term, and then heading into that next stage of the project, working with mass development right now to move some of that stuff forward.
Exciting things
Oh my God, it's just
exciting
so cool.
things. Let's see. So, one of the things I liked on your website was that you said it's a hybrid bookstore cafe born to nourish your body, enrich your mind, and celebrate your soul. I just thought that was genius. It hits this place right on the head.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, anyways, and that's sort of like the energy that I think I brought to some of this over the last.
And as we mentioned, you have so many books in here that you're not going to find somewhere else.
No, ma'am, you are not going to find it in your average bookstore.
Yeah. And we tried to be really cognizant of the community of people that we have here. Actually, right behind you is our Portuguese language selections for the large Brazilian population that we have in the immediate community here. we will continue to do that as our audiences sort of shift as this area gets developed now in the next few years.
Yeah. Because it will. Yes.
It's in process.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just love that forward thinking.
Yeah.
So we don't have too much time left, but can you give us a peek into what the next...
The broader plan?
The broader picture,
What can you share?
So stage 2 is very exciting, and this is of course all dependent on Mass Development making a determination that this would be something they want to put grant funding into. But we've been working really closely with them from the get-go. So I'm confident and hopeful that we'll be able to do this with some of the resources that the Commonwealth has received from the federal government to remediate some of the impacts of COVID. But to cut that short, the next stage of the project is sort of a three-strand program, taking advantage of the church space that's currently here. And this church has been here for 15 years, and they've taken immaculate shape of the care of the building during that time. They've been wonderful tenants, and they chose to go leave at the end of this calendar year, which matches up very nicely with the funding timeline for the Mass Development proposal. But what we're asking for is to produce a 3-tier project, which the first of which would be a public market that would be essentially focused on bringing small-scale local farms and farmed goods to the community here. This is a food desert, officially, by definition. The closest area is over a mile away where people can get fresh produce. Which is not sustainable for somebody without a farm, which is true for a lot of people in this immediate vicinity of this restaurant. So we wanted to address that one directly. At the same time, obviously, we're supporting the local farmers by cutting out all the middlemen and operational expenses associated with moving their products all over the country and the region. And then part 2 is a community commercial kitchen, which we would be placing in a 500 square foot place out back. And we'd also provide retail space out front for those people who are practicing and working on their craft to start finding the products that they would like to be able to retail as their businesses. Ultimately, for the folks that we think have a viable business model, we'll be providing small incubating grant resources to those companies. We have a dream of having a fleet of vegan food trucks that we can park out back as sort of just like a cool place to hang sometimes, but also that we could just sort of send out across the Cape, because the Cape is also just has a huge room to grow in the vegan space.
There's not many options.
No, there's very little.
I know. This place is just, so good that you've come to Main Street, Hyannis. It's such a great place for vegans and non-vegans.
I hope
people to try something different that they might not have tried.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So before we sign off, is there anything that we forgot that you really want to make sure people hear about?
I don't think so. But what I would love to recommend is that people come in and have a gander at some of the cool books. You guys have mentioned that we have a weird selection of books.
Weird in a good way.
Weird in a good way. And you're going to learn how to do things like pick locks, and we have the Anarchist's Cookbook here, so you're going to learn how to cook it like an anarchist, and 100 other stories and learnings that you can have in this place. So our website is BR for Bread and Roses, brcapecod.com. On the website, you can order food, you can order books, and soon you will be able to order fresh roasted coffee.
So wonderful. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're so grateful that we got to come here.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for interviewing me. All right.
That was amazing. It continues to be amazing. This food is just beyond delicious.
It is beyond. I mean, we have a lot to eat.
We have a lot to drink,
yes.
Quite honestly. So, but now you do know what's Good Cape Cod. And if you are watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified next time we drop a new episode.
And if you want any more information about today's episode or past episodes, visit our website, what'sgoodcc.com.
Cheers.